I get really excited anytime I see a new technology come out that levels the playing field and puts abilities into the hands of smaller and smaller startups so they can compete with the larger giants that are in a given industry. And Universal Robots, my interview with Mette and McCall at Universal Robots, I feel like I learned just that. Not only are the robots much more simple than I had imagined they could be, but they're also way more simple to program. And so that means you're not going to have a technician that's dedicated on site just for that kind of a task. The technician there was able to show me that all you've got to do is physically move it in between pushing a button each time, and it'll remember those waypoints. So this is also great because we're able to, as Mette pointed out, replace jobs that are often dirty, dangerous, dull. And so if you want to learn more information about them, their website is universalrobots.com. I encourage you to check it out. If nothing else, just to see what these kinds of things look like. And if you are a growing startup and you're wanting to outsource some repetitive tasks, this is a great one worth looking at. So enjoy the interview. All right, I'm standing here with Mette from Universal Robots, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what's this behind us and how it works.
Okay, well what you see here is a UR3. It is named after its payload in kilos, so it can lift 3 kilograms or about 6.4 pounds. It's called a collaborative robot, and what that means is that it can work right next to people without any safety guarding around it.
Okay.
Now, traditional industrial robots are normally bolted down in a glass cage. This is a very unusual, for an industrial robot to be able to work right next to people. The reason we can do that is the safety features. So if you just grab the robot, it will stop like this. Like this, it goes into a safety stop. That means that it can work right next to people without any barriers behind the human and the robot.
Okay, and I wanted to talk for a moment about, you were mentioning something off camera about how the jobs aren't necessarily being replaced, they're just being kind of relocated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a very important point to make, because a lot of people get really scared when they hear about robots. They're like, oh, it's a job killer, and they're no good, because what are all these poor people then going to do? What we normally say is that these robots, they replace people that do dirty, dangerous, and dull jobs. And what happens to these people? Well, the companies that they work for become so much more productive. They're able to optimize their production so much that they can actually keep these people employed. That's what we see in the vast majority of the companies that we're selling these robots into are able to take in more orders through the optimized automation that they can keep these people working. We have a company in Denmark that installed 42 of these robots. A year later, they hired 50 more people to simply just keep up with production demand.
And that would probably cut back on insurance and people getting injured. And
definitely, yeah. It doesn't take lunch breaks, it doesn't complain, it doesn't go on vacation.
It doesn't get sore back or sore muscles if you're having to do repetitive.
Exactly. I was up in Boston recently at a medical device manufacturer company, and this robot had just done its millionth part in a year.
Wow.
Number 1 million in a year, yeah.
How do you think a person would compare to that? Like when it gets to million, what do you think a person would probably be at?
Well, they would be at about 500,000. It's about twice as fast. So they doubled their throughput and actually freed up 11 workers.
Okay.
So in this particular case, they got 3 robots in, and they doubled their throughput and was able to free up 11 full-time positions that are now allocated to do more interesting things in the company, more rewarding things. Now they're doing quality control.
Okay.
Now they're becoming robot programmers. So now they get to play around with the robots all day, and it's as easy as you just saw demonstrated. So it's become really fun for the people. They often even have names for the robots. They see them as extra colleagues, not as a threat.
What kind of background, or if a person's wanting to get into this kind of field, what sort of education path do you recommend for such a person?
For the person that actually helps develop the robots themselves, or for a person that would work with a robot on the shop floor?
Both. Let's start with the...
Well, I think if you want to work with robotics, you mean a strong engineering background in actually developing the robots. We always have open positions at Universal Robots, so we always have looking for talented people with a knack for robotics that want to change the world by making small and medium companies able to compete. So we're always looking for people that come with a really strong engineering, computer science background, software background. A lot of it is software based. In terms of just programming them, just operating them, you really don't need any background. Of course, you can do much more complex stuff. And you can have it interact with all kinds of vision systems and other peripherals. So sometimes you would need some kind of skill set, but for just operating it once it's set up,
Okay.
you just you press play and then it's going, and then if something is up and you have to change position, just reload a program that somebody else has maybe programmed, and then there it goes.
So you could work with open source repetitive tasks that somebody already has online, or whatnot.
And then you can just load it right into through a USB stick right into the tablet, and off you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. This is Jonathan Limp from Value Time TV, signing off. I'm standing here with Brian Kobus from Universal Robots USA, and he's going to show us how to program in just a few minutes here.
All right, so for a real basic program, and it's really very user-friendly. You don't need a big degree or background in coding or anything like that. It's really user-friendly. So you simply go to structure. You want to do your move. Set where you want that to go to. You actually hit this black button right here and hold it down, and you can then grab the robot and move it wherever you want. So say you want it right there.
Okay.
Release it, hit OK, and then that point is set. So now it knows to go there. We'll add another. Again, hit that button. Move it to the next spot, and that one's set.
That's very much the way that I would do something in like a program like 3D Max, only doing it actually physically, exactly. Where you would end up moving something, you set a waypoint, and you move it a little bit, and you say this is the next waypoint, or the way After Effects works with media programs.
Yep. So instead of a million lines of coding for a simple little task, press a button. And what this is, you are scripting, but really the background of all this is that in-depth programming is just done already for you.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.